Welcome to Quilting with Mary Beth and Donna. Today we're going to talk about what we've been up to, what's under our needle, a little bit about Joann's closing, and then we're going to talk about quilt retreats. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Mary Beth.
Good morning, Donna. It is morning, right?
How are Sort of. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. We have a little bit of a delay today, but we'll work through it.
Yes, and it's raining, and I have satellite internet, so clouds and satellite don't work well.
Yeah. We'll try. If it doesn't work, we'll do it again tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, what's new with you?
Well, let's see. It's warmed up here. Excuse me. So I'm going to lock the cats out of the sewing room. So I did that when I was trying to record down there, and I could hear like a battle going on in the garage because they wanted in so bad. They love me.
They've got you getting you trained.
Rod says I have them spoiled, but whatever.
Yeah, they'll be inside here within a week, probably.
If Bella wasn't living here, they'd probably be in the house, but anyway. What's new with you?
Cool. So I just got back from a trip to Colorado to deliver a few quilts,
Woohoo!
and I stayed with Sheila, and we had a nice dinner um, with some of the ladies from the guild. So we had a really nice time. It was a great
Good.
evening that we had. And now I realize that I have to be careful with everything I say because people are listening to this podcast.
Oh,
Ah.
well, that's good news and bad news, I guess, huh? Or no, bad news and good news. Whatever.
Yes. Yes, so, anyway, it was a really good trip. I'm glad to be back. It is raining here also. It's supposed to rain all day today.
You guys are getting hammered.
Um, yeah, we're getting a lot of moisture.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay, so what is under your needle today?
Well, that
Or has
door hanger thingy is still under my needle. So I'm working on that today, but I'm putting the borders on it, and I don't think I need to put batting in it or anything like that. If I do, I'll just tack it. I won't, just like with my sewing machine. Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need batting.
Yeah, I didn't think so. So I'll get that done today and get it hung up. And then nobody can see in my front window when I'm sitting there watching TV.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have my dining room, we've painted my dining room and my kitchen, and now the window, I don't know, coverings, the cloth window coverings are just not pretty anymore, so I was thinking I have some charm packs that I bought, actually charm packs that I bought when we were in Paducah, and I was thinking about, sewing those up and making little, curtains. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Isn't it funny how one thing leads to a million others?
Oh, I know. It's horrible.
Yeah. Hey, and just so
Horrible.
you know that, remember a couple of years ago when we went on that little quilt re quilt hop sh pop sh I can't even talk, shop hop
Shop pop.
over in Lebanon, and then we went to, Iberia. That's all going on again.
Uh-huh.
I love that shop in
Oh, I
Iberia.
saw I
Mhm.
yeah, I saw that, the what's it? The quilt shop at Newsome Hardware is,
Yeah,
involved. That's a great little shop. We should
we
go there.
love that shop.
You should go there.
I'm
You should
about
drive
to
over there
talk
and just
myself into it. I may have to, since I can't get you down here to do hopping with me, I may have to wrangle somebody else to do it.
Yeah. There's gotta be somebody around that will do it.
Oh, there's several. Yeah, I could probably get a couple even.
Is, City's Edge involved with that one?
Ah, I don't think so. I think it starts now, I haven't looked at the list real carefully, but I think it starts on over east of us.
Oh,
So,
cool.
I hop
And
as
I finished all my yeah, I finished all my quilts, to go to Colorado, so right now I'm in a little bit of a lull, so, I mean, I've got plenty to do, so I need to start putting some more stuff on,
yeah.
but it's kinda nice to have the ones that I needed to get done, so that's good for me.
Yeah, that is good for you. Well, that's great.
Okay, so I know. So housekeeping. We want to remind everybody that Mary Beth has a page on Facebook called Quilting with Mary Beth.
I do, and it has a few little easy
And
questions to answer, and then I'll let you in. Private
yes, and so
page.
you've got more than 800 people on there. So um
I do, yeah, like
everybody's
850.
friendly. Yeah, so
Yep.
everybody's friendly. So if you're interested in joining, go find her on Facebook. Hopefully you'll recognize her if you see her.
It may be the
My
only place in the
Go
sorry.
ahead.
It may be the only place
Go
in the
ahead.
world that we don't talk politics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Nope. And, I have a website called Donna W. Smith Quilter on Facebook, and I also have and I think because Facebook and Instagram are kinda connected, you kinda see the same thing. If you're more of an Instagram girl, you can go to Instagram person, sorry. You can go to Donna W. Smith Quilter on Instagram. And I do have other stuff on there, like my dogs. I have a lot of dogs, so I have dog stuff and other stuff. But if you just wanna see, I post my quilting stuff at hashtag Donna W. Smith Quilter. So if you're interested in looking at that, you can do that.
hey, and I, have 2 Instagram accounts, so I changed one of them to Quilting with Mary Beth, so you can find me there too.
Oh, really?
I
Cool.
did, yeah.
Such the girl.
I tell you, technology and me, we blend. I wasn't gonna laugh today, but here I am cackling like a little chicken.
Too funny. Well, everybody I've talked people that have been listening to the podcast, are enjoying it, so hopefully we can keep it up and
Good,
make it good. Whatever.
let's hope. Be positive, woohoo.
Let Okay, so, one of the things that's happened in the past or that's starting to happen is that, I think Joann's has announced that it is closing all of its stores,
Yeah.
which led us in our conversation with the little quilting group on, Saturday night is what what do the, people who don't want to buy expensive, high quality fabric do? Um, our friend, Paula is the head of the military outreach group for the Longmont Quilt Guild, and they get a lot of their fabric there because it's less expensive, and as a charity outreach, it's not really feasible to pay, 12, 14 or more dollars for a yard of fabric, and she basically said that if we don't have an outlet for more, affordable fabric that, charity quilting is not going to be as easy to do.
Right. However, um, I know a group here that, does charity quilts, and I was shocked and amazed and happy that they have one of those storage containers out behind the church that they work in full of fabric. But I live in a community, it's a lake community where there's a lot of retirees, So when people pass away and that sort of thing, or they can't quilt anymore, they donate their fabric. So that's
Yes,
a good
and
way.
we do. We also we also have charity quilt where we have a I think we have a couple of storage units that are full of fabric, but, you do I mean, there is a need, and there are a lot of quilters out there that just you have to afford good fabric, and I cannot see that, the fabric companies that are making and I don't wanna say it's you've got your high quality and then you've got your mid quality. It's just a different it's
Mhm.
sometimes it's the same looking fabric, it's just not as high a quality as what you would get at your local quilt store.
Right.
So and I can't see, the fabric producers to just not do that anymore. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens. The options at right now is basically Hobby Lobby, I think, and Walmart. Are those the only 2
Well,
places that are selling fabric?
yeah, and I think Walmart, the quality is just a little less than Joann's. Hobby Lobby does have fabric, just not as much. And also some Michaels sells fabric. And I
Oh,
did notice I went online
okay.
last night just to look, and the Michaels in my area, um, has, uh, Kona cotton. So, there's that. If you need Kona in a pinch or whatever, you can always go there, but anyway, they just don't have as big a selection, you know? Um, Joann's had apparel, upholstery, quilting cottons, craft type fabrics and stuff, yarn, all that sort of thing, and, uh, eh, Hobby Lobby and Michaels has most of that too, so
Yeah,
it's
so
not
hopefully so anyway, we thought that we would kinda check and ask some people, we're so connected.
yeah.
We we can we can ask some people and see what they think the future of the mid quality, quilting fabric is, but there's a lot of people concerned because Joann's is closing. I
Well,
am
here
n myself am not a fan of Joann's just because I don't shop, and if there's people in there, I just don't like I'm just not a shopper at all, so I don't I go the only time I go to Joann's is when I need, maybe what do you call fleece, or I need, muslin, and
yeah,
I need to figure out where I'm gonna buy muslin, so and there's always online, but I don't know if people want to shop online. There's a lot of people that don't wanna shop online because you kinda wanna see the fabrics together,
mhm.
you wanna experience the fabric before you buy it.
I'm telling you, and feeling of the fabric was huge in Joann's. I mean, some of it felt weird, like, even the quilting cottons felt stiff or
Yeah, stiff and plasticky, like they had a
yeah, like
plastic layer on there.
yeah. But, I will say this, when I, uh, started a quilting group at the church I went to up in Kansas City, um, there were young women that came at that time, and now this was 20 years ago. Um, there were young women that came, and I remember one girl saying, "I just can't afford the fabrics in a quilt shop." And I said, "You buy what you can afford. Don't worry about it. If
Right,
it's not a quilt shop, don't worry about it. Just get what you can afford." And, this young lady quit the group because the lady that I knew that was a long armer and was kinda leading our group, uh told her never to shop there, that she needed to always shop at a quilt shop, so she just quit, and she really was hungry to learn how to quilt, and I called her and I tried talking to her, and it just you know, don't do that. Don't do that to people. I mean, some people just
yeah.
can't. She had little kids, and she just couldn't afford to go to a quilt shop, so there's that.
Right, and we want to encourage everybody to do it. So,
Yep,
yeah, so maybe a little bit, lesser quality, but I mean, it's still fabric and it'll still last a long, long time. So,
yep,
Yeah, don't listen to people that are grumpy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, listen to us. We're not grumpy.
we're not go usually.
Oh,
Oh, okay. So we'll look into that further, and we'll have another episode at some point. Maybe we can get somebody to come in on it and talk to us about it. But
yeah.
I can't see that that would go away. They're gonna have to accommodate it somehow. So we'll
Well,
see how that works out.
there are some stores around. Now, not everybody is fortunate enough to have it, but I can think of a store in Springfield, Missouri that's, uh, it has a ton of fabric, and I would say it's better than Joann's, but it's about Joann prices. The only thing is, here we are, I'm gonna just keep talking until we talk about Joann's the whole time. But Joann's did have 40% off coupons or, good sales and all that kind of stuff, and some of these stores now don't do that. So, uh, you know, that's gonna be missed, the 40% off coupons. I know I've gone over there and bought rotary cutters or whatever I needed, tools-wise. And especially when I first started out, I could get rulers or whatever I wanted for 40% off. That's a deal. I don't use those rulers anymore, and I still have them, but I've gone on to different types, I like better.
I guess my question is it really 40% off, or is it just
No, I
40% of off of what their price is?
it was 40% off their price. So, like, I mean, I've gone in there before and bought a truckload of stuff, and, when they ring it up, I'm like, "Wow, I saved a whole lot of money. I could go back through here and do it again," but, uh You know, I mean, the quilt books, you could get those 40% off at times, and they were 40% off. I mean, it was a good sale, and maybe that's what priced them out of business. I don't know. But,
Yeah, there is a reason why they're closed now, so
well,
we'll see.
that and, I just think that the upcoming things that are going on with tariffs and things like that, some of this a lot of our stuff comes from China, so it's gonna hurt some of these stores that, like that, so whatever.
Yeah, but we've been saying that for a while. I remember, when I don't know, was it 4 or 8 years ago when they said that the batting was gonna go up.
Mhm.
The cost of batting was gonna dramatically increase, and I think it did, but, yeah, and, how long ago? 20 years ago, maybe longer, when you used to be able I don't know if you ever remember this, but I used to buy clothing from the company called Go to Pieces where it was like they brought the clothes into the house and you bought it at kinda like Tupperware,
Uh-huh.
and they went out of business because they could no longer get quality fabric to make their clothes out of, and
Uh,
if you remember when we were growing up, the fabric stores had wonderful fabric, and now you can barely find a fabric store because they just don't make it. I mean, they don't make the quality or whatever that it used to be,
right,
years ago when we were wearing what my mom made,
right, or what I
before
made or
you
my
made yours.
mom made, yeah. Mhm.
Right, right.
Yep, and
So, we'll weather this with
I used to love
good.
going to the fabric stores, it was even as a
Mhm.
teen, I was like, "Oh, I love this, I can't wait." I begged my mom to take me over there before I could drive. So,
And I also think, people would be wise to look at Etsy too, because Etsy has a whole bunch of fabric sellers on there that sell, fabric at a really good price, so,
yeah, and make sure
that's another option. Oh,
when you're on there, don't do what Mary Beth does, select your country.
long traveling fabric, huh?
Yes, I mean, it got here maybe faster than some of the fabric I've bought from the US, but I paid a price for that,
Yes.
Oof, don't tell
Yes,
Rob.
definitely.
Yeah,
Uh,
well,
too funny.
I will
Well, at
pet
least
that
your fabric is traveling.
I will pet that piece of fabric for a long, long time. Even after it's in the quilt, I'm gonna just pet that fabric.
You just remember your fabric that came from where did it come from?
Australia?
United Ki no, it came from Australia.
I've never even been there,
I
but
bought
yeah.
uh, I bought tool I bought, templates from a lady in Australia that
Mm,
does, like, really pretty flowers,
yeah,
so that was fun.
yeah.
Hmm. Anywho, we were gonna talk today about retreats.
Yoo-hoo, I love retreat.
So, I, I'll go first because I think I've been retreating a lot longer than you.
You sure have.
Um, I was lucky enough to spend almost 20 years in Colorado when we were about 30 minutes, 30 miles away from a Presbyterian retreat center, Highlands Presbyterian Retreat Center. And I was about 45 minutes away from um, uh, what's YMCA of the Rockies.
Mm.
So those were two really good places where you could go. You could rent a hotel like room, and they would give you a conference room where you could sew. You set your stuff up so you walk 10 feet to get food, and there's a bathroom like 20 feet away, and then you went to bed. And so I started doing that. I went on my first quilt retreat probably 20 years ago or so. And so I've been doing that for a long time. Um, and then they would start having, through the Quilt Guild, they would have retreats. They would have retreats up at in the mountains at the Presbyterian Retreat Center, and then they would have in town retreats at the Moose Lodge, and we'd meet at the Moose Lodge, and you would sew from whatever 9 to 10 or however they marked it. And so that was one of those opportunities where it would cost less, but you didn't sleep away. So those are a little bit more difficult if you have a business or something, or you have a job, because you tend to think, oh, well, I can go home for 10 minutes for this. Whereas if you're a distance away, that opportunity is not really there. So that's how I got started in retreats. Now, you tell me the story of you said your first retreat was the one you put on, right?
Yeah, I'd never been to one, but I thought, "Well, this will be fun." So it was after I started Quilting with Mary Beth Facebook page, and I just put out there, "Would you guys be interested in a retreat?" Well, about 10 people said, "Yeah, let's do it. That'll be fun." I only had about 50 on my page at that time, but I thought it'd be fun to meet everybody. And so, as it turned out, um I just said, "Hey, send me retreat centers because I don't know what to do with 10 people, or whatever." So, um, I had a few recommendations from Iowa. I was trying to stay kinda middle of the US, that way people could come and not have to go quite as far as they would from one end to the other, you know what I mean? So,
Yes.
yeah. So, I had some recommendations, 2 from Iowa and 1 from um, Nebraska, and the one from Nebraska I took because, it was a little cabin near a lake, and it was set up for quilters. The lady that owned it, I'm sure it was, don't you think it was probably like an Airbnb? I mean, because anybody could stay there if they wanted to. Um,
Yes, it was definitely an Airbnb type situation because it was on a little lake.
yeah. So, but it had 1 closet, like in the master bedroom. It had 3 beds, 3 twin beds, and then it had, chairs, rolling chairs, office chairs crammed in that closet, and there must have been 15 or 20 chairs, it seemed like 10 or 15, we'll say that. And then, in one of the other bedrooms in the closet were folding tables, and the living room had a love seat type couch on one end pushed up against the wall, and it had, a cutting table and a TV, and that was it. And so we could set up all the tables that we needed, and, had ironing boards, I think, there, and then the kitchen was like a Airbnb, had everything you need, coffee and all the kitchen stuff you need. So anyway, and so we rented that one, and I think I had 5 people sign up, and then 2 went away or something. Anyway, we ended up with 3 people that year, and then the next year we had 4, and then we went back down to 3, and then we stopped going there and started doing something else. Oh, I know, it was just you and me and, Jolene, and she came from Florida, so you moved to Missouri, so it just seemed like the thing to do to, meet in halfway in the middle of there, so we go to Arkansas now. So the 3 of us meet, and that was my first retreat was us for
Yeah.
Quilting with Mary Beth.
And, right, and then now it's just quilting with Jolene and Donna.
Yeah,
Um,
that one. That one is
and so that's an yeah. So, and I was gonna back up a little bit, I just remembered this. The very first retreat I went to was associated with a quilt shop, and it was close quarters, and I there were probably 40 people or so there, and it was not a very big room.
yeah,
But, that was the very first one I went to. So, usually you can find quilt retreats through your guild, or your quilt shop, or your friends. I quilted for years with a group of ladies that lived in the area, and we all became really good friends. In fact, Monica, one of the ladies, called me a few weeks ago. She now lives in North Carolina, so you keep lifelong friendships from these kind of things. But now it seems like okay, and so then the opportunity is to find a group of people and do an Airbnb type of opportunity, but you just have to be careful that you get a place that can handle it.
right.
And the problem with some of them are you might have to take your own tables.
Mostly in those,
We
and
went to
yeah, and the
yeah,
Airbnb, I set it up for us every year, and we did Paducah, which pff, we will not do that again. I mean, I loved it. I loved Paducah, but, because it had a quilt shop that was really great. Dogs. But, but yeah, you have to look at square footage to make sure you've got room to set your tables up. Uh, Make sure you've got room for everyone to stay comfortably. And so that was rough in Paducah because most of the houses were small there. So,
but it was we didn't hurt for anything there. I liked
oh,
that one. I thought that was a good one.
yeah. Now the one in
So,
Arkansas is very spread out, and it's right on a lake. It's a it needs to be, um it could use some interior design work in the kitchen, dining room area because 'cause it's got wallpaper that is, I mean, to tell you, that place will wake you up in the morning. But it's big.
yeah, that's a nice place, but it's big for 3 people. You couldn't fit a whole bunch more. You couldn't fit anybody else in there. It's
Yeah,
perfect for 3 people.
it is
Yeah.
perfect.
Um, Now I am smart,
You are.
lucky in the sense that I don't sew a lot at home. I sew on retreats. So, I have an opportunity to do a lot of retreats. So I that's basically where I sew.
Yeah,
Well, lucky enough in 2019 to be invited to, Kinderhook, Illinois for a retreat there. Shout out to my Kinderhook ladies.
yeah,
And they they rent a big old lodge that you probably can sleep 30 people, not 30 quilter aged women, but 30 people easily. And I think that they do hunting in the fall and winter, and then in the spring and summer, they do, quilt retreats, and they also do weddings and conferences and everything.
craft.
And the Yeah, crafts, and they provide, meals and and all that kinda stuff. So that's a really, really nice place for us to go to, and I took Mary Beth.
I loved it.
Mary Beth's been a couple of times. Yeah, it's a really and we do it for a week, which is wonderful. The first time we thought, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I could sew for a week," but it really is
It goes
a
fast.
nice it does, and it's and you're tired when you go home just
Yeah.
because, sewing is not easy.
Well, I lose track of
And there's
days.
also good Yeah, and there's also good quilt stores near there. It's
Oh,
close enough. It's
right.
probably about 20 minutes from Hannibal, Missouri, and Hannibal has the best quilt store there, so
Mhm.
that's nice.
Yeah,
So nowadays people are getting into quilt retreats,
yeah,
and I think some are setting them up, maybe their lake house or whatever for a quilt retreat, but, around here, there's a new quilt retreat place that was built, like, they built a big barn that they are doing quilt retreats in.
yeah. That's
So it's a
art.
lot easier to Yeah, it's a lot easier to find quilt retreats these days that are not associated with, like a group where you can just come like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to, a quilt retreat this weekend." I know nobody. But there are other people that I don't know, that don't know anybody there too.
Um,
That's nice.
I am on a page on Facebook called Quilt Retreats. That's what it's called, and they list
Mhm.
quilt retreats from all over the country, and they'll say, "Hey, we're having a retreat in Delaware," whatever, I'm just making this up, but, um, they'll say, we have 1 space open," or, "We have 3 spaces open at our quilt retreat in wherever, and you can just sign up and go if you want to." And, one other thing about quilt retreats, like, when I went to Kinderhook, I knew you, and that was it. And I was, so nervous about going. I think you signed me up and paid the deposit, and I was like, I can't go to this." And I didn't go. And so they rolled my deposit over to the next year, so I went ahead and went, and I loved it, and I love all the women that are there. It's just so much fun to get together with them um, and so and, uh, usually I poop out before the table of the ladies that are a little older than us, and I'm like, "How do they do that?" And then they get up the next morning, and they're all chipper and ready to go, and I'm like, "How do they do that?" But anyway, um, I
Yeah.
love going to Kinderhook, so I like the
Kinderhook's a good one.
I love all the friendships I've made there and just all the people, it's just so good. So, yeah, that's a good one. And then, Quilting with Mary Beth, we have a retreat now on, Lake of the Ozarks, not far from me, but a little far. Far enough that I don't wanna drive back here unless I have to, but I will if I have to. It's about 40 minutes probably, so it's not a big deal, but, um,
It's 3 hours
um
for me.
yeah, from you. Yeah. So, but we're right
3
on the lake.
3 hours 3 hours in a quilt shop.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause you get to go by Hunters in,
Yeah,
wherever
we
it's
have to
at,
go by Hunters.
Warrensburg or whatever. Um, yeah, so, anyway, we're right on a lake. We're in a wooded area. It's a Lutheran, youth camp. They serve meals, and it's almost like a little hotel. Um They have someone that cleans up after us after we leave and all that sort of thing, so all we have to do is wind up our bedding and linens and pack our stuff and leave. So they feed us and, uh, so it's all good. So all we do is sit there and work on our quilts and have a good time and then go home.
And quilt retreats are good for not only just socializing, but, getting stuff done. So my philosophy and when you first start going to quilt retreats, you bring everything, you think you're gonna get 42
I
projects
do it
done,
I
and
do
you
it
don't.
every time.
I know, and you don't. But when it if you really think about what you wanna get done, I have a bag that's just ready to go. In fact, I was looking at it a while ago and saying I haven't even taken the quilts I finished out of the bag from the last quilt retreat. That's my problem. but, you have to, so the things that I work on Quilt Retreat are the things that are some that can be somewhat mundane that you would put away if you had something else you would do.
Mhm.
So, something that's going to be, like the last Quilt retreat that I went to, at Kinderhook, I took a paper piecing, it was a bunch of, like, 20, sunflowers that were paper pieced, and I worked on that for probably 4 days, and that was something that I probably if I had been at home, I would have taken it out and I would have worked on it for a couple of hours, and then I would have gone taken a break and read my phone or watched a movie or fed the dogs.
Yeah.
And being away from home, you can actually work on these things and just get good work done. And so that's my, one year, I mean, I've pieced king size bed quilts. I did a king size log cabin 1 year. So you can get a lot done at a retreat. So if you need to get something done, think about doing a retreat.
Yep. And inspiration. Holy cow, you can get some inspiration from those people at retreat, just looking at what they're working on. Or at my last retreat, I had one of our ladies bring her quilts that she's done, and she does some phenomenal stuff. So she was doing a little trunk show for us, and that was so inspiring, I thought. And then just to see what everybody's working on, and when they hold it up and show what they're doing or what they've done while they've been at retreat, it's just fun to watch, to see all that, and you're like, "Oh, what pattern is that?" Or, it's just you wanna do it too, and so it's really inspiring, I think, to go to these things.
And you need to also be careful about what your quilt retreat is going to do. Like, some of them will go on tours, and so you might
Oh,
lose a day because they're gonna go on a tour, or they might have classes, or they might play games like quilt,
like, we won't
stuff
mention
like
it, yeah.
that.
Yeah. Oh,
So
wow.
if you like to participate in stuff like that, that would be great. If you're more of a person who says, "Just leave me alone and let me sew,"
Bah
be
humbug.
leery of I know. Look for that kinda stuff because if there's gonna be 4 or 5 teachers there and you don't wanna take 4 or 5 classes, then that might not be the retreat for you.
You know, we stopped and did the little, I don't play games at mine because I just can't think up stuff that'd be fun, I don't think, but, um, we did do the little trunk show. We took off probably, what, 30 minutes for that, uh, and I thought that was pretty inspiring, but, I have asked if anybody wants to teach a little impromptu something, and not, I just thought, if we set up a little area and they can go over there, and whoever wants to go over there and learn whatever that technique is can go, and the rest of us can just keep working. So I think that would work. I don't want to go to one that's got a structured, like, I watched a video yesterday of a quilt shop that does a retreat, and they probably had 50 people there at least. And they were showing all the different classes they would be having during this retreat. It was like 4 or 5 different classes for a week retreat, so I'm sure you could sign up for whichever one you wanted, but, um, that's too structured, I think, for me. I just wanna relax and have fun and listen to music, and, you know, so
Some retreats also are heavy on the gifts. Like, I went to one of the quilt guild retreats that I used to go to. They would, I mean, when you got up in the morning, there would be fabric and like a
mm,
tote or something like that where you got gifts, but they also did little projects, and so I wasn't so much into the project. In fact, I've got one I can see part of one right now that never got done. I need to
mhm,
throw it away because it's in the way. But, but and some of that kinda goes into the cost too. I
yeah,
think, some people are leery of the cost of retreats, but if you think about if you're gonna go depending on if they provide food or not, if you have to bring food, that it might was probably a little bit cheaper. But if you're thinking about going and staying in a hotel for 4 or 3 4 nights, that's going to cost you some. And so
Right.
um, the the amount of stuff that you will get done will surely be beneficial compared to the cost that you're paying for it. So if you can do it, I suggest everybody try retreat. Try get yourself to the first one and see if you like it, and I'm sure you're gonna love it. And then you can just go hog wild like I do. At this point, I do Mary Beth's retreat. We're doing the 2 retreats for City's Edge. We do Kinderhook. That's 4 for me. Oh, and our personal one, the one in, Arkansas.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
5 retreats that I do a year.
Yeah.
5 retreats. And, like I said, that's the only time I sew. So so
Last year, I did a day retreat in Warsaw, Missouri. It was to benefit cancer something in the Warsaw area, and, we paid $50 to rent a table, and we, just sat there and worked on whatever we wanted to, and one of the ladies, in fact, it was a lady I met on my way to Kinderhook, uh, she invited me to
Sharon,
that yeah, Sharon. She invited me to that, retreat, and, we it was funny the way we met because we Donna Donna and Sheila, I think, was Paula with us? I don't think she was that year.
I don't
We wa
Paula wasn't there that year,
Yeah.
no.
So we walk into this Donna thinks I make friends everywhere I go, and she has even told me she has looked me square in the face in the parking lot of quilt shops and said, "Don't make eye contact in here." So, I'm like,
And of course
"Okay,
she does.
I'll try." One day she told me that, and I walked in the door, and the lady caught me at the door and followed me all through the store, and I kept looking at Donna, and she was at the back of the store rolling her eyes like, "Oh, brother, here we go again." So, anyway, we were in a quilt shop in off of off of,
Highway 36.
Highway 35, 36, yeah, and,
Clip clipping I don't
cut
know. Well,
yeah,
I'll we'll it's
I can't think of the name of it, but it's such
keep
a
going. I'll find it.
okay, it's such a cute
Go
little
ahead.
shop. The lady has a beauty shop on one side and her quilt shop on the other. And we walked in and she goes, "Oh, welcome, where you from? Where you going?" So each one of us told her Colorado, St. Joe, and I said Warsaw. I'm from south of Warsaw, Missouri, because nobody knows where Wheatland is, and I live halfway in between. So I just said south of Warsaw, Missouri, and she said, "Oh, okay." So then the next we were walking around through the store looking, and then this next couple of ladies walk in, and she said, "Welcome to my store. Where are you from?" And Sharon said, "Well, I'm from Warsaw." And I went, "Ah, I'm from Wheatland." And she went, "Ah." And then she said, "Well, my name's Sharon." And I said, "Oh, that was my sister's name." And then she ran over and hugged me, and Donna's over there rolling her eyes again. So, anyway, we that's how we met, and, been a lot of water under the bridge, and Sharon just lost her husband, so that just makes me so sad, um but anyway, we have been, friends since then, and she invited me to that day-long retreat, $50, and we just sat there, and I met new people, I made new friends, I have, a new friend from that, and I'm gonna go to her house and check out her studio one of these days. She lives at Warsaw, and I met ladies from, Clinton. They've invited me to the quilt guild there. It's just that it's such a drive and it's at night, and we have deer and all that, so it's kinda spooky to drive over there and then drive back at nighttime, but, um, anyway, it's just fun, so that's how I usually meet people is at retreats.
And, just I looked it up, and, this is one of our favorite quilt stores because it's in the
Mhm.
middle of nowhere. It's right I mean, it is like, uh, not even a block off of Highway 36, but it's called Stitch and Clip,
Yeah, and
and it's in Lightner,
mhm,
Missouri.
she is so nice. That lady is the nicest lady. So much fun.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
and beautiful fabrics.
So y yes, and so then you have to worry about when you're doing a retreat is that sometimes you buy more fabric than you bring, and
Sometimes
that can be a problem. That can
can
be a
be.
problem.
Mhm.
But, like, when we went to Paducah last year, I think I spent $500 on fabric
Yeah,
at Hancock's.
yeah,
Have I
just
done
to
anything with any of that? Nope.
and well, you will though.
I know. I
You
know.
will.
This
Mm,
retreat, maybe I'll take one of the projects from this
yeah,
retreat to
see?
this next retreat.
And that's coming up in 2 weeks.
Yes, this is another, quilt store quilt retreat, and it's at the same place that Mary Beth's is at,
Mhm.
and we know a lot of people there, so it's gonna be fun. We
This
enjoy
is,
quilting with them.
yep, City's Edge in Warsaw. If you've never been there, try it out if you come to the area. Amy and the crew are very nice, and they're very helpful, and, she's a Janome dealer, and they have classes and all that sort of thing, but they're just fun to visit with and to shop, and they've got a cute little store there, so
Yes, it's a good store.
mhm.
Okay, so I think we have hit it all on quilt retreats. So,
I
if you
think
have any questions, you can always get on Quilting with Mary Beth and ask
yeah,
about quilt retreats.
mhm,
Like she said, there is a Facebook page called Quilt Retreats. Um, check out your local guild or quilters that you know, and you could set up your own with people that you like,
yeah. Hey, and
which is always
last
helpful.
year from Quilting with Mary Beth, we had 20 people come to the retreat. This year we have 31, so woohoo! I mean, this place sleeps 50, and the room could probably accommodate, but, just to be comfortable, I hate to cram everybody in there, so but 31, that's great. I'm so happy that everybody's excited about it and coming, so looking forward.
You're such a social butterfly.
Hey, can't help myself. It's who I am.
Oh, I know. I know, that's why we love you, Mary Beth.
I
That's
hear
why we're all
that.
listening to this right now.
Yeah, I hope.
Okay, so you're gonna go finish your, window covering.
Yep,
I am going to unload the quilts that I brought home, and, um, tomorrow I don't have to be anywhere tomorrow at all, so I'm going to stay home and sew. How does that sound?
that sounds fabulous. Well, Rod's home.
Yeah.
He's not working. Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I think Thursday he has a doctor's appointment in Kansas City, so that's my reprieve day, and I don't have to, he won't come in and say, "Are we gonna eat lunch today?"
Yeah, that's the good thing about having a quilt retreat is nobody's bothering you to let them outside
I'm telling you.
or feed 'em.
Yeah, or saying,
Yep.
"Could you do laundry? Cause I don't have any jeans."
Yeah.
I did all the laundry yesterday, so I can't say that today.
Okay, well, it was good talking to you, Mary Beth. I
Okay,
will see you next Thanks for
time.
joining us
Thanks,
today.
see you
We look
later.
forward to seeing you next time.